Seriously, though, where are the bitches?
Bro, they're all sitting right here in this room on microphones.
That's what I'm saying. Dap me up. We just dapped each other up.
That was a dap.
That took 3 attempts, by the way. If
What?
you
That's
haven't
a
seen
Josh, bro,
Nah, you hit the...
you're killing the vibes.
That was the intro banter, and now this is the body paragraph. Topic today, we're starting off with influences.
Wow, you really went with my ideas.
Well, it's an important topic, I think. There's a lot of people who struggle with, especially when they're starting out, to what extent should I look for influences and try to emulate the people I admire? And to what extent should I just do my own thing and like deliberately try to stay away from emulating other people? So how do you balance taking influence from bands that inspire you and your idiosyncratic personal expression?
Well, I think the first step is to stay in touch with whatever content you find yourself derivative of. Like just whichever group or individual you take influences from, it's important to keep up with them. A, if you respect them as a musician, because we got to support artists, especially local ones.
Yeah.
And don't support Impulse
Cut that from
Machine.
the chat.
But it's also important to stay in touch with your roots and see how your roots are changing over time, so to speak.
Yeah, I like the mindset of don't seek to emulate the masters, but seek what the masters sought. I like doing research into my influences to figure out what kinds of trains of thought were they on, what were they reacting to, what caused them to be different from everything that came before them, and what can I learn from that to like take their sound and push it to where they would take it if they were in their youth today.
Yeah. Like, for example, Josh and I were talking earlier about John Frusciante. We were talking about influences, and as a guitarist, of course, we know who Jimi Hendrix is. But I didn't really delve into him until I found out that he was one of John Frusciante's biggest influences personally. And that really got me to dig deep into that rabbit hole and figure out his styles and how he changed his respective genre, honestly, because of who he is and who he was. But that wouldn't have happened if I weren't listening to John Frusciante in the first place.
Well, so one of my thoughts on influences is, so I am predominantly, I'm a adamant hip hop enjoyer, not a casual one, but that's my main genre. That's the main thing I like to look into and think about. That's what I listen to when driving the car.
Best thing to sing first person.
But then it comes down to like, I'm a bass player though. So how does this interpret into playing bass in a metal band? And like my favorite bass players though, don't play any of the same things I do. So I like rigidly practicing the physicality of the bass players who I love. We're talking John Ferreira, Victor Wooten, I mean, as any bass player just automatically has to say.
As you should. Flea.
Flea, yeah. I feel bad I haven't listened to as much Flea or tried to like actually embrace, because Flea I just look at and it's like, oh, yeah, that's everything I like. So I don't need to listen to it more because I already know what I like. So I know what he's going to be doing because he's everything I like.
Pretty much.
So interpreting the what you like in an instrumentalist versus what you like listening to musically. And then when you smash those together, it doesn't always end well, but like for the most part, it makes a different kind of sound and a certain appreciation for different compositions. Because if you just listen to one kind of music and that's the only kind of music you play, I feel you're just getting lost in the sauce. You're just going to keep repeating things. You should listen to, you should. One way to look at it is...
Zach personally recommends.
Zach personally recommends have your favorite musicians on the instrument you play, have the music that you like listening to, and then have the music that you make. You got to have the Holy Trinity.
As far as influences, I don't know. I always try to like get into so I would ask anyone what they listen to, and then I would just get into the very best of whatever they listen to that I have never heard before. That's kind of how I got into Impulse Machine and like all these local bands. But I also have found a lot of stuff like the Mars Volta, for example. There's someone that up until a certain point I've never heard of before, because I was just busy listening to like Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, Linkin Park, and stuff like that. And then one day I just listened to Sonnet Lumiere or something like that. But yeah, John Frusciante also plays in the Mars Volta, so that's another reason why I love Frusciante. His work is fucking just incredible. I love Frusciante so much.
He's so good at finding the right balance with experimental and pop. It's unfair.
Like, he just sounds like whenever he released that album with Omar and John, like it sounded like aliens communicating with each other almost. It just sounded strange as fuck. He's not afraid to actually reinvent himself in a way that's like, well, in my opinion, very original and very like fucking... I'm having a brain fart right now. I'm sorry. I'm gonna drink some more.
That is a mood.
I'll say there are two categories of bands that I take influence from. Sometimes it's an instance of I listen to a band and I just feel like they're saying exactly what I want to say. Usually it's the bands that are kind of on the outskirts of some metal trajectory. And I mean, the bands that I think should be compared to Impulse Machine. Things like Zeal and Ardor.
See, that's a band that I've never heard of, but I have a feeling if I were to listen to their music right now.
Their newest album is about to drop in the next week, I think.
It scratches every musical itch I have. Like the kind of music that I listen to, I think I really wish I had been the one to write this and perform this because this is me. But that's also a very personal thing. There's also a lot of bands that I can learn from that say things that I needed to hear or that I haven't heard before. Like I'm going through a phase with The Fall right now.
Wait. So when did you get into The Fall?
I'd listened to a few of their songs a year or two ago. I think I had them on my playlist, but 2 weeks ago, I started going through their whole discography kind of sporadically. I'm like trying to listen to albums.
They have so much shit, dude.
How do you define originality and or creativity?
Can someone else make it? Is how I define originality. All right, and not as much can they make it, can they think of making it, and will they actually execute it? Because everybody can think a lot of thoughts. It's just, actually, no, that gets me more pondering. Hold up. Because I was going to say, if somebody can think the thought of doing it, but you actually do it, are you more creative, or are you just more proactive?
Creativity is two distinct processes. There's ideation and there's execution. And you can ideate all you want, but can you actually put it into practice? Like if you have a dream about the most brilliant song ever written, but you can't play an instrument and it never happens.
Are you creative?
Holy shit, that reminds me of that movie Cloud Atlas where the guy hires this pianist to this guy has a dream of a fucking piece of music, and then he gets this guy to just play it for him. And I kind of wonder if people can do that in real life, though.
That's what session musicianists are kind of for.
Honestly, I've written songs in my dreams.
You have?
I rarely remember them.
Yeah, me too. I have a hard time remembering a lot of my dreams.
I've never seen Cloud Atlas. How does he go about getting this pianist to translate the dream?
I don't know if he writes it down himself or if he just simply tries to mouth it off like a melody from his voice, basically. But
I will say that's exactly what Michael Jackson did.
Oh, really?
Michael Jackson could not play any instrument.
Wait, he couldn't?
No.
I had no idea.
No,
he had voice
vocal.
memos, and that's actually what saved him on a copyright issue that happened of someone was trying to say Michael Jackson stole this melody or this instrumentation from me. And Michael Jackson had the voice recordings on tape of him making the sounds with his mouth that are what he brought to the session instrumentalists. And he got, it was just said, he made these tapes before. But no, he did not play anything. He told the instrumentalists exactly what it needed to be, and they executed it, and that's why he got the best dudes in the game.
His drummer was tight.
Sugarfoot. Do go crazy.
If I say what I actually think, you're gonna go on the assault and you're gonna like, never mind, forget it.
So what do you actually
Send
think?
it.
I'm gonna go on the physical assault.
He's gonna attack me. He's gonna attack me for what I believe.
Wait.
Because okay, you said something about Zoroaster, like with like good and evil, like good and bad, good and evil,
This is a pre-podcast conversation.
and like I do think that people have originality, and I do think that they take from other people. But I guess so. For example, like Hiore's, the song we were working on, like I took a bridge from like Glassjaw, but I completely like turned it into something else. So it's funny, I almost have to bow to that too. Like it's like that DJ Shadow album, like that first song. It's not so much that I'm creating music, but music's coming through me. Because like as much as I'd love to say I own this song, this is mine. No, I created it with pre-existing material, kind of.
Well, and at a point, everything is derivative because we draw on our experiences for art if it's done proper. So it's kind of hard not to bring outside influences in media, especially from the same media that we're composing it.
And whether or not you're intentional about it, music's always a language, and you had to learn that language from other people. You have to recombine the phrases you've heard spoken by other musicians that said something to you into your own vocabulary, into your own thing.
But isn't that crazy how the same thing can be applied to philosophy, like with Nietzsche and Zoroaster? How like he was riffing off something that Zoroaster believes, but he took it and completely flipped it upside down.
Yeah.
That can happen with anything and everything.
Then at what point does the human experience become derivative?
When you're born.
Any sort of symbol system is necessarily derivative because the point of a symbol system is to reference things that other people can relate to. It's to reference things that have been said before. So the word guitar means guitar because it's derivative of every time other people have used the word guitar. We're all referencing something that is the same concept in our minds. Now, music is non-representational, which makes the question of, is it derivative, more interesting. Nobody accused Leonardo da Vinci of plagiarizing a human being because he drew the Vitruvian Man. It's a form that we all know. But music points to things that don't have an exact correspondence to reality. Sound is sound. The etymological origin of the word genius, as in creative genius, comes from the same idea of like a genie, a spirit.
Really?
Wait, so there's a spirit in like man or something? What do you mean?
Yeah, originally genius was a spirit that guided you through your life, that told you profound things.
Enthusiasm.
People weren't geniuses, but people had geniuses. And your genius would...
Yeah, it's like they were possessed by something.
Exactly. You would be possessed by something, you'd create a great work of art, but it's your genius. It's not you.
If I'm not mistaken, in the old times it used to be called enthusiasm. But it meant something completely different back then. Though they meant it like in having like the spirit of God within you or something like that.
Yeah, enthusiasmos, to be inspired or possessed by a god.
Yeah.
Like emet, the Hebrew word for truth.
Elaborate.
So, a trope that has been used in popular media for a while is the golem.
Mm-hmm.
The golem was inscribed with the word emet in order to bring it to life, which is the very start, the very middle, and the very end of the Hebrew alphabet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know very few Hebrew words.
I know zero, but I watched a One Piece lore video today, so I have this information.
We're trying to keep our reputation as a credible podcast here, man. Come on.
Fuck you, this is why I just draw.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying now. Before I didn't because
No, I enjoy the series too, but it's Naruto clan.
there was a little bit of difference to it, but I see what you're saying now.
It's a very good series, and it's refreshing to see the shonen genre being brought back to life by this. And it's important to remember where it came from in the first place.
I want them to create a new story that's just completely something different from everything that they've created.
That sounds like a definition of originality.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. Music's kind of the same way sometimes.
Music is just like
kinda
One Piece for
anime.
real.
Oh.
Like, okay,
But can you create something that's entirely different from past forms, past styles.
I feel like it should depend less on the scope of others' knowledge and more on the scope of yours in order to determine how original something truly is.
What would you say is the most original band you yourself have heard?
I would need to think for a very long time on that because I see musical connections between a lot of bands. Probably anything that calls itself a band would not count. I think it would have to reside in the realm of art music. Someone like John Cage. That would be someone who's doing something completely original. There was nothing like 433 before or since. It's a completely original piece. But also, that's not something I would listen to. The hottest take I've heard is that no artist has ever produced something completely original. It's all been building on past work, except for Jackson Pollock.
Whoa. All right. I don't have a retort for that.
I kind of want to hear that, though. Like, send it in the group chat.
That's a visual artist.
Oh, yeah. Jackson Pollock is very much at the forefront of abstract painting. He is... I don't know enough about him to call him the godfather, but I'd say he is one of the forefathers.
Definitely. He's sort of the figurehead of abstract expressionism. If you've seen any like massive canvases painted entirely with splatters, that's Jackson Pollock's style. It's probably a Pollock or a clone. But he is also easily my least favorite abstract expressionist.
I agree with that.
You're just throwing hot takes at the microphone today.
I'm just saying, I'm a huge Mark Rothko fan.
So I think Pollock is a case of, I respect his thought process and him. I don't think there should be any shade towards him. I just don't think his stuff looks good. But it's a case of, yeah, first dude to make grindcore. Shit probably sucked, kind of like how grindcore now probably fucking sucks.
Except Pig Destroyer.
Including Pig Destroyer other than their music videos. But yeah, it's the fundamental of abstract. Like, oh, I could do that. Oh, but you didn't do that. So yeah, somebody needs to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say something that's purely original, nobody is going to be able to understand. Something that is strictly you, it's not going to be said in a language that anyone else speaks.
Yeah, I understand. There's a lot of independent bands that are like that, but honestly, I'm kind of glad that people are getting in the habit of expressing themselves the way they want to.
I don't know. I don't even hear that many independent bands saying something in their own language.
I cannot really name one off the top of my head that I feel.
Pithy Daco.
Pithy Daco is pretty much, yeah, the only, but...
Let's fucking go.
Hey, yeah, no one else is... I don't know. It's just not hitting the same for me. Like, I will say Ween was truly themselves. I'm not even like a Ween head necessarily. But
all right, but Ween expressed themselves using other people's language. They expressed themselves brilliantly, eloquently.
They just spoke a lot of languages.
No, that's the same with the Mars Volta. Like, they spoke many languages across different cultures. Like, they were influenced by Latin music, by dub music, reggae, electronic, post-hardcore, fucking progressive rock.
And that's kind of the thing. If you know all the languages, you know all the words to express yourself. Mm-hmm. And you can do more with it.
It also means there's a lot of words you're saying that no one understands. Like,
but if you have a balance, if you express yourself in a language that no one has ever spoken before, if you're Jackson Pollock, I'll be honest, I don't like Jackson Pollock's art. I think he's brilliant. I'd be willing to accept the argument that he's the only painter that's ever done something purely original. That means, by definition, it doesn't relate to me.
That's about right.
Yeah, if you can draw on a variety of traditions and apply them to your own ideas about art, then not only can you communicate with people, but you can communicate with a lot of people. And even if a few words go over your head because you don't speak that language, you can extract the context from whatever else is going around. That's why I like genre fusion so much, is because genres are languages. It's a set of codes. Metal is a language.
R&B.
R&B is a language.
Yes.
And if you can take metal and R&B, and I recently read Diamond Age by Neil Stevenson. I don't know if this is an actual thing, but there was one group of people who knew both Mandarin and English, and they preferred to speak English about abstract concepts and philosophy, but they preferred to speak Mandarin when dealing with day-to-day tasks, logistics, and management because of the strengths and weaknesses of the languages. And I feel like you can do the same with music.
Interesting.
Wait, shouldn't we plug catacomb stuff on the podcast? Or do you want to like wrap it up like that? Or
I don't normally plug stuff on the podcast.
okay, never mind, forget it.
Thank you, Yeshua the Alchemist,
Yeshua,
from Under the Catacombs of Paris. You should go look us up.
we have a live EP.